Hello there, YouTube. It has been a long time since I've made any kind of a video for my channel. I mostly just, watch other people's stuff. But I just got done watching the Stranger Things finale, and I just couldn't remain silent. Not when I'm seeing all these young people, these Byler shippers who are so heartbroken right now. And I've only seen a tiny, tiny portion of their reaction to the finale and what's happened. So let me start over. My name is Christine. This is my channel, and who the hell knows? Maybe I'll start making videos and content. But I have been a Stranger Things fan since 2016 when the show started. Obviously, I was aware of almost immediately that Will Byers looked like he was going to be a queer character, which I thought was pretty cool. But I didn't really clock the ship until probably season 2, 3, definitely 4. But probably started to see the beginnings of the Byler ship in season 2. And that's probably just because I've been a shipper of pairings in fiction and television shows since I was 13 and started with Starsky and Hutch, So I'm very well aware of the troublesome technique of queer baiting. It's been around in media for a very, very long time. This subtext of gay romance that, or what looks like a bromance but could be more kind of thing. It's not new. It's been around for a long time, but it's in the last 10, 20 years, I guess, that it's really started to amp up with things like, John Locke and Steric, and of course, John and Rodney from Stargate Atlantis. I could go on. There's plenty of ships out there. Even Merlin and Arthur from the Merlin show. It's advertisers and producers and directors and writers, they use it. They use queer baiting to draw in audiences, to bolster their ratings, to get people excited about their shows. And they just tease you with the possibility, but it never goes anywhere. And like I said, that's been happening for so long. And I'll be honest, as soon as I saw Volume 2, I knew that Byler was done. I allowed myself to have a teeny tiny kernel of hope, because as many of the really excellent videos that are out there, especially by like Ronald, the Byler lawyer, and others, they've chronicled the steps, the just all the evidence, if you will, that Byler, that the relationship, a potential relationship between the characters of Will Byers and Mike Wheeler was possible. And they milked that for all it's worth. But I expected this, because that's always the way these things end. And it has. I'm 60 years old. I have seen a lot of queer baiting over the years. But I gotta be honest, with the exception of maybe, Supernatural and John Locke, which were kind of, especially Supernatural, kind of in a league of its own as far as queer baiting, this one is really egregious. Because right up until that episode 5 of Volume 2, they were milking it. Between the interviews and the articles and all the music and the clues and all of the things they were doing to just ensure people were devoted to this ship. And And we're going to be tuning in to the very bitter end to see if Mike was going to reveal his feelings, to see if they were going to talk about the painting. All this stuff that had Byler's just convinced that this relationship, this queer relationship, was going to be canon in the show, and are now heartbroken because they have been utterly deceived. And quite frankly, the Duffer brothers and Sean Levy and Netflix and all those who approved all of the advertising, all of the hidden, all of the subtext that was woven into the show for years, but especially in Volume 1, they should be ashamed of themselves, honestly, because it's egregious. It is an egregious evidence of queer baiting that I've ever seen. It's just terrible. But it is the young people and their reaction and how heartbroken they are that really, honestly, makes it just even worse. Because these are young people who have really identified with Will and Mike. They have brought these characters into their hearts, and they wanted to see this representation. They wanted to see a real relationship develop and blossom between these two characters, especially from Mike Wheeler, who started out in seasons 1 and 2, this devoted, caring friend, and who has just deteriorated into whatever the hell he was in season 5. And then even for the final shippers of Mike and Eleven, they didn't even get a satisfactory end to their story. So, yeah. But anyway, I digress. For the younger viewers, for the younger shippers, don't give up. Don't give up on ships. I mean, like I said, I have been shipping various characters and pairings since I was 13. None of them have ever been canonized in their shows. But that's what fan fiction is for. That's what art is for. It lives in your heart. So the haters are going to hate. And let them do whatever their homophobic little hearts want to do. Because you know that what you saw was true. You saw the subtext. You saw the clues. And it was real. And so don't ever let anybody take that away from you. And just keep going. Just keep going. There will be another pairing in the future. But just be aware, this world is rough. And they are not kind. And maybe someday, there will be a writer and a producer of a film or a television program who will have the courage to depict a gay relationship in an honest, true, loving, romantic way in the mainstream media. Not just in queer media, but in mainstream media. This wasn't our time, but that doesn't mean that someday in the future, it might. So keep the faith, keep Bylering, and take care.